Hello friends, welcome back. Happy New Year to all of you. I am your friend Rajneesh and today we shall continue our discussion on 389 directory server where we are going to migrate the local users to LDAP. So how will we do it? As you know that if we are talking about the local authentication, the users detail are present in /etc passwd and etc shadow. etc passwd consists of the details like username, user id, group id, password, users shell and home directory, and etc shadow consists of the password corresponding to it, when is the password going to expire, after how many days it will become inactive, when will the user expire, and these details. etc group is a file that consists of the details about the group. etc hosts consist of ip to hostname mapping. etc services consists of the details of services along with the ports associated with it. So our objective is to migrate all these users from local files to LDAP server, or the protocol which is LDAP. So it has a specific approach, it has a special format that we have to convert these flat file users into, so that LDAP can understand that and will import these users, groups and hosts into the directory server, which will then be accessible to any virtual machine that will authenticate against migration, that will authenticate against 389 directory server. So to demonstrate this, we will be using three virtual machines. One is infra.labs.local, which has 389 directory server installed on it and it's already configured. The second one is test machine, or the test.labs.local, which has all the local users that we will be migrating to LDAP. Test VM is the test machine which is already authenticating against directory server. So as soon as these users are imported into the directory server, they will automatically be uh, these users will automatically be able to log in into test VM, because this is already authenticating against 389 directory server. So after the users have been imported, whichever client machine is authenticating against this directory server will have the accessibility to all the hosts, or we can say host mappings, passwords and the details of the users that we have imported into 389 directory server. Okay, let's move on to the lab now. Okay, this is my pick. So as I have already told you, we'll be interacting with three virtual machines. One is test, other is infra, and the third one will be test VM. Okay, so right now if I have a look into the users database, I can see only one LDAP user, which is rcval with the ID 1001. And if I see to etc passwd, I cannot see the user rcval because this is fetched from LDAP directory server, 389 directory server. Okay, and the same happens if I check get ent hosts. Here I have already two entries corresponding to the local host. Fine. If I talk about my machine in which I already have these users in the flat file in etc passwd, here I can see three users: rcval, LDAP1, LDAP2 and LDAP3, which we will be exporting to 389 directory server. Okay, so for this, first thing we have to do is we have to install migration tools. Okay, etc pki rpm gpg. Let me see. Okay, let me see which package provides it. Okay, the package corresponding to it is CentOS release. Let me install it. Is already installed. Okay, slash etc pki rpmgpg CentOS 6. Let me just copy it. I think I did some mistake. Okay, vim slash etc yum.repos.d labs.repo. Okay, sorry. gpg key equal to file colon slash slash slash. This is the gpg key it has to use, and let me copy and paste it to my kickstart so that whenever I'll be installing new virtual machine, it'll have the gpg key present in it, and it'll be using the same for this repository. Write and quit. Let me update it. Slash etc ks.rep ks, it's actually ks.cfg, and it's fine now. Okay, now yum info migration tools, and here we can see that this is a set of Perl scripts that are used for migrating users, groups, aliases, hosts, net groups from flat file to the LDAP format. So let's install it. So we are installing it on the client machine where we have the users. Okay, so rpm -ql migration tools. Let me see where has it installed the packages or the files. They all are present in user share migration tools. Okay, now we have the configuration files associated with it. vim migrate passwd. Okay, so it says it requires migrate common.ph. Actually, this is the file where we have some constants defined. Let's open it, move down. So the most important variables that are to be modified is DNS domain. For ours, it will be labs.local. The default base will be dc equal to labs comma dc equal to local. PADL. Let me see if it's present somewhere else also. Okay, that is fine. These are all commented entries, so I'm done with it. And let me make sure whether it has some entry corresponding to pass WD. Okay, okay. So I have modified PADL, the domain that it will be using. So first of all, let's configure migrate pass WD. When we are planning to migrate pass WD, we will be specifying two files. One is corresponding to etc pass WD, other is corresponding to etc shadow. So let me first create a folder, or let me create a folder under TMP Migration. CP etc pass WD to TMP Migration. Shadow. For hosts, let me move it also. Okay, these three files are fine as of now. The reason why I copied these files is that I'll be moving or removing I'll be removing the system users from this file. TMP migration pass WD. So root, bin, daemon, ADM, shutdown, these are all system users and I don't want them to be migrated. So these are my three regular users or local users that I'll be migrating. So we have updated TMP migration shadow, password and hosts. 127.0.0.1 is by default present in all the servers, so we don't need it. This is corresponding to IPv6, we don't need it. Okay. So we are ready with these files. Let's try to migrate them. Migrate users or migrate pass WD. The program it will be using. So it has the entry of the files, shadow file, okay, sub read shadow file. So open shadow. Where is my shadow file located? So it's located in TMP migration and then shadow. Let me make sure by copying it that there is no spelling mistake. Yes, it's fine. Okay, so I'm ready with this files. Let me try to run migrate. Okay, before that, let me be ready with migrate hosts also. So let me see where it has the entry. It doesn't have the entry for it. So first thing I do is migrate past wd.perl. I am not aware of the syntax, so I just type it, and here it shows me the usage in file and out file. In file is etc passwd or the passwd file. In file is going to be TMP migration passwd, and output is going to be TMP migration. And one thing that may have an issue is chmod u plus read. I'll be required to read the shadow file. Okay, migrate past TMP migration passwd file, and output will be TMP migration passwd.ldif. So the file will be exported in LDIF format. Let me have a look whether the passwords are migrated. Here you can see that it has exported the users in the LDAP format. DN stands for distinguished name. It will be corresponding to LDAP1. Here is the passwords, and you can see all the details of these users. Fine. The second part that we have to do is we have to migrate hosts. The syntax is same in file and out file. TMP migration hosts TMP migration hosts dot LDIF. Fine. Let me have a look into TMP migration hosts. Yes, sorry, hosts.ldif. Yes, it has exported these hosts into LDIF format. So I am ready with the files. These files are now to be imported to 389 directory server. Okay, so first thing I need to do is I need to copy this files to 389 directory server. scp minus r for recursion, and it goes to infra to the home directory. So the files have been copied. Actually, I don't need hosts passwd. I need only these LDIF files. So let me open 389 directory server now. I'm on infra. Don't want to be root. So here is the console. Manager at 123 was the password that I gave it. I move to the directory server, double click on it, or open it, and here you have the option to import LDIFs. Let me see. Okay, tasks, import databases, and here it asks you for the LDAP file. Okay, browse. I'll not be able to move to the root folder, so let me copy these files to my user su minus cp root star.ldif. I can copy them to TMP. Okay, migration cp star.ldif. These are the two files that I need. I have copied them to TMP. Okay, so here I move to TMP, and the file name will be passwd.ldif. Here it says 3 objects imported, 0 objects rejected. Perfect. Let's import the database corresponding to hosts also. TMP hosts.ldif. Okay, TMP rejects was already present because it was created by my previous action. So its contents will be overwritten. Do you want to continue? Yes. Rejected objects. Okay. OU equal to hosts. Let me see the reason. It says the error sent by the server, no such object. Okay. So it should be under OU equal to hosts, under DC equal to labs, comma DC equal to local. Okay. Let me create the organization unit hosts. We have people, groups, but we don't have entry for hosts. Let me create organization unit, new organization unit, which is known as hosts. IP to host name mapping. And let's try to import them now. TMP hosts. It's fine, it'll be overwritten, fine. So we have imported hosts also. Okay. Have we imported groups? I don't think so. Yes, we have not imported the groups. So let's first export the groups. Migrate groups, TMP migration group. Okay, I have not yet copied it. CP TMP etc groups TMP migration, and to this folder VIM TMP migration and group. Let's remove all the system groups, and I can see that there are only 3 non-system groups. Let's copy G shadow also. Migration G shadow. So groups have 2 files associated with it. One is corresponding to the GID, other is corresponding to the password. Let it be read by root u plus write. Oh, sorry, I don't want it for write. Okay, so, and the final thing that I'll be doing is migrate group. It may have an entry for G shadow. Is it? It's using migrate common, and it doesn't have an entry for G shadow. Okay, G shadow. Okay, it doesn't have. Fine. So I just use migrate group dot pl, which says infile tmp migration group and out file will be TMP Migration group.ldif. Let's have a look whether it's converted, and yes, it has been converted. Fine. Now let's copy it to infra server in the TMP folder and import it. Coming on to tasks, import database, TMP groups.ldif. It's group.ldif. Rejects will be overwritten, that is fine for us. Rejected objects, okay. It says OU equal to group, object doesn't exist. And if we see to our groups, it's actually OU equal to groups. So let me replace group by groups. For this, I'll have to update one file, migration common.ph, where it says OU equal to group. Okay, and actually it's OU equal to groups. So let me replace OU equal to group by OU equal to groups in the file migrate common.php, and let's run the migrate group.pl once again and have a look into the file. Here we can see under OU equal to groups. Fine, let's copy it. Now let's import it. Coming on to tasks, TMP, and the name will be group.ldif. Do you want to overwrite rejects? That works, so they are imported. Okay, now they have been imported into directory server, and here is the test VM which is authenticating against this directory server. If I type the command get ent passwd, here I can see 3 more users. How did we get them? Because they are fetched from the directory server. Now let's talk about etc hosts. Okay, etc hosts, the database is not yet fetched from LDAP. /etc nss switch.conf is a file which has the mapping that this particular database is to be fetched from which service. If we are talking about passwd, it's trying to fetch etc passwd or passwd database first from the files, then from LDAP. Groups, it's trying to fetch from files in LDAP. But if we are talking about hosts, it's not trying to fetch from LDAP. Now after editing it to use LDAP, here we can see that these entries are fetched from the LDAP server. So hosts database is also fetched from LDAP server. Groups is the part that we have not tested. Get ent groups, and here we can see that there are 3 additional users that have been fetched from directory server. Okay, so let's try to log in into the server using any one of these users. LDAP1 at test VM. So here I am able to log in into the server test VM. This is my test VM, and here, as I wrote previously and specified you, that it's able to create a folder corresponding to every user as soon as he logs in. So it created for RCval LDAP1, and here it confirms that we are able to log in into this user, this LDAP user that was exported from the test machine that was authenticating against local authentication mechanism. So what I need to do is just to change the password for it. Here if I try for this test VM RCval LDAP2, right now there is no such folder because user has never logged into. I'll use the old password, and my password policy says that the user password has expired, you must change your password. So that is simple, ls-l, and here you can see that the user has logged into it. User has just to change its password and it will start working for it. So here you can see that password was changed for it. I'll try to log in into it using this password, the new password, and I am into the server or the machine testvm.labs.local, which is authenticating against LDAP. So that was our objective. Let me recall, we have the local user database present on the test machine. We migrated all these users and groups using migration tools from this test machine to LDIF format. We export after that we imported those LDIF files after logging into 389 directory server and then import database. Here we specify the LDIF file. So finally they have been imported under infra server, and the test VM, which is already authenticating against LDAP server, will have all these users, groups, hosts fetched from this infra server. If you want to make sure, first thing that you can do is just refresh it, and here you have the LDAP servers. Here you have the hosts entries, and here you have the entries corresponding to the people, and we verified it after logging into the test VM server. Thanks for viewing the video. Have a good day.